Let's talk about the invisible stories that are running our lives and, our careers. We're going to uncover a really powerful way to understand why we do the things we do, and more importantly, how you can actually rewrite your own personal script to lead with way more impact and resilience.
All right, first, I want you to think about this for a second. If your professional life, all your projects, your team dynamics, your whole career path, if it were a movie, what genre would it be? You think it's a drama, a tragedy, or maybe an adventure? Just hold that thought, because the genre you're living in right now, it might be the single biggest thing determining your success. You see, every single one of us, we're operating based on this internal story, this kind of invisible script that's always running in the background. And most of the time, we don't even realize it's there, but believe me, it is directing our every move. And there's a name for this. It's called your narrative identity. It's really just the story you tell yourself about who you are. But here is the absolute key. This means your identity isn't some fixed set of traits you're stuck with. No, it's a narrative. And what's the most important thing about any story? It can be edited.
And that right there brings us to the most powerful idea in this whole thing. This is the big aha moment. You are not just some passive character living out a plot that's already been written for you. You are the author. You are holding the pen. And at any moment, you can decide to write a completely different story.
So, what do these stories actually look like in real life? Well, the source material breaks them down into 4 pretty distinct genres. Think of them like different operating systems for your life and your work. Let's see if we can figure out which one you might be running right now.
First up is the tragedy. The core belief here is simple. Things just happen to me. This is the classic victim story. In a product leadership context, this sounds a lot like, well, marketing gave us bad requirements, or, engineering is always late. It just leads to this feeling of helplessness, of having zero agency.
Next, we've got the satire. This is the cynic story. The narrator basically believes, look, it's all a big meaningless joke, so why even try? This is that jaded senior leader, the one who's seen it all and meets every new idea with a sigh and an eye roll. And the result? Total inaction. Because hey, if nothing matters, what's the point of even getting involved? Then there's the drama. Oh man, this is the story of the struggling hero, always battling against these impossible odds. So many of us in leadership roles fall right into this trap. We wear our exhaustion and our struggle like it's some kind of badge of honor. But here's the problem. The story is always about the fight. It's never about the victory. And that just leads to burnout every single time. And finally, we get to the most empowering genre of all, the adventure. In this story, life is a quest. Obstacles aren't signs that everything is about to fall apart. They're just challenges that make the game more interesting. This is the mindset of growth, of resilience, of real fulfillment. This is the leader who sees a tough new competitor not as a tragedy, but as a necessary plot point on the way to winning. You want a perfect, real-world example of this shift? Just look at J.K. Rowling. Objectively, her situation was a capital T tragedy. She was divorced, clinically depressed, literally as poor as you can be in modern Britain. She could have easily stayed the main character in that sad story, but she didn't. Instead, she recast herself as the determined writer on an adventure. See, the tragedy character stays in bed. The adventure character finds a cafe while her daughter naps, and she writes. Same circumstances, totally different story. And that new story changed her actions, which, in the end, changed everything. So, here's the bottom line, the most crucial point. The story you decide to act out becomes your reality. By acting as if you're the hero of an adventure, you slowly but surely become that person. Your actions literally write the story into existence. Okay, so that's all the theory, but how do you actually do this? How do you fire that old narrator in your head and hire a new one? Let's get into the practical, actionable playbook. All right, here's a simple 5-step process. First, just listen. Listen to your own self-talk for one day and try to identify your current genre. Second, give that old story a title, something like the constantly overwhelmed product manager. Just naming it helps create some distance. Third, write a new, one-sentence summary, a logline, for the adventure you want to be living. Fourth, don't worry about the whole movie, just focus on the next scene. What's one small action your new hero character would take today? And fifth, this one's a really powerful psychological trick. Narrate your own actions in the third person. So instead of "I'm nervous," you think, the hero felt nervous, but walked into the meeting anyway. It gives you this incredible sense of control.
Now, this isn't just about your own personal development. For product leaders, this is one of the most powerful levers you can possibly pull to shape your team's culture and its performance. You are your team's chief storyteller.
So here's your leadership checklist. Are you framing your team's mission as an adventure? When a team member is stuck in that victim story, can you help recast them as a hero, a problem solver? When you hit a major setback, are you framing it as a disaster or as that necessary plot twist that makes the final victory even sweeter? You got to actively collect and retell your team's success stories to build this legend of competence. And when you hire, look for people who've already authored their own comeback stories. Trust me, they know how to turn challenges into triumphs.
You know, the real power of this whole framework is how immediate it is. You don't need to wait for permission. You don't need to wait for your circumstances to change. The pen is already in your hand. Your story starts right now.
So, I'll leave you with this final, challenging question. Forget that old story you've been telling yourself. What is the one-sentence logline, the summary, of the new, more empowering story you're going to start living starting today?